Is Lake Erie really about to freeze solid? Weather update American cities number 129. We are talking about wind chills crashing down to 35 below zero, followed by a mind-bending temperature swing of 40 degrees above normal by Monday. This isn't a glitch. I've been staring at the latest weather models and things just got very real tonight. It is Friday evening, February 6th, and the atmosphere is starting to lose its mind. If you look outside in parts of the east, the snow is already flying, and it is gaining momentum fast. We have lake effect snow cranking off Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, while intense snow squalls are currently rippling through the mountains of West Virginia. This is just the opening act of a much larger winter performance. By midnight, those dangerous squalls will be pushing into western Pennsylvania regions. While you are sleeping tonight, the snow won't be. Expect scattered flakes to spread across New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, and western Massachusetts. This isn't necessarily a blockbuster storm that will bury your house, but it is absolutely enough to turn the roads into a skating rink. By 7 in the morning on Saturday, the snow will be actively falling in Boston, Providence, and Hartford. Even Cape Cod and eastern Long Island are going to see some heavy bursts through the morning. What really has me worried isn't just the accumulation. It is the visibility. You could be driving in totally clear conditions and then 5 miles down the road, you literally cannot see the hood of your car. These localized snow bands are incredibly deceptive and dangerous. Combine that with wind gusts already hitting 40 miles per hour across the Great Lakes, and you have a recipe for chaos. By tomorrow morning, we are looking at 50-mile-per-hour gusts hitting the mid-Atlantic states. Saturday afternoon is when the wind really decides to show off. Cities like Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C., and Virginia Beach could see gusts peaking between 50 and 60 miles per hour. If you have anything loose in your yard, from patio furniture to trash cans, you need to secure them before you go to bed tonight. These winds are importing a true Arctic air mass. This air is coming straight from the Arctic Circle, traveling through Canada, and plunging deep into the lower 48 area. We are looking at temperature anomalies around 35 degrees below what is normal for early February. That is a massive red flag for how serious this air mass actually is. In northern Michigan and Wisconsin, wind chills are already dipping well below zero. Central Ontario is sitting at 20 below zero as I record this. By 7 a.m. Saturday, we are talking about life-threatening wind chills of 30 below zero in parts of Pennsylvania and New York. This is not the time to be outside. Let's break this down region by region because there is a massive amount of ground to cover and millions of people are in the path of this freeze. Starting with the Northeast, the entire I-95 corridor from Washington, D.C. all the way up to Boston is getting hit hard this weekend. In New York City, expect 2 to 4 inches of snow, but the real story is the cold. Wind chills will drop to 20 below zero with a high of only 22 degrees. All 5 boroughs are going to feel the impact. Boston is looking even worse, with 3 to 5 inches of snow on the way. The wind chills there will plunge to 25 below zero. With a high of 25 and a low of 5, you are in frostbite territory in under 10 minutes if your skin is exposed. Over in Philly and Baltimore, the snow totals might be lighter, but don't let that fool you. The cold is absolutely brutal, with highs stuck in the low 20s all weekend. In D.C., it stays dry, but it will be a frigid 25 degrees. Upstate New York is getting absolutely hammered by the lake effect machine. Buffalo is looking at 4 to 6 inches, while Rochester and Syracuse are hovering around 3 to 5. Even Albany will see 1 to 3 inches. Every one of these cities is dealing with sub-zero wind chills and lows dropping down to -2. Burlington, Vermont, is expecting 4 to 6 inches and a low of -5. Portland, Maine, and Hartford are also locked in this deep freeze through the entire weekend. Chicago will see a high of 15 and a low of -5, with wind chills hitting 30 below zero. Minneapolis and St. Paul are even worse, with a high of 10 and a low of -10. To put that in perspective, that is actually colder than the average surface temperature on the planet Mars. Just let that sink in. Cleveland will see snow squalls dropping 2 or 3 inches, while Cincinnati might see a few light flakes. Columbus stays dry but stays frozen in the low 20s. Over in Des Moines and Omaha, it is absolutely frigid right now. Highs are barely reaching the teens with lows dipping to -8. But if you live in Des Moines, Hold on tight, because your weather is about to do a complete 180 next week. The Dakotas and northern Minnesota remain the coldest spots in the country now. In Fargo, the high is only 5 degrees. Bismarck is even colder with a high of 2. Duluth is sitting at 8, with lows crashing to nearly 20 below zero. If you are planning on driving along Interstate 94 this weekend, you might want to seriously reconsider those plans. The conditions are going to be treacherous. Moving into the Appalachians, Pittsburgh is looking at 2 inches of snow and 15 below wind chills. High elevations could see up to 7 inches of fresh snowfall. Further south, Richmond and Norfolk are dealing with light snow and flurries, with highs struggling to reach 30. Louisville and Lexington will be cold and dry, stuck in the low 20s. However, the deep south is actually catching a bit of a break from the worst of this madness. Nashville and Memphis will be frigid, with Memphis seeing a bit of a wintry mix tonight. Dallas and Houston are feeling chilly with highs in the 40s and maybe some light rain in the Dallas area. Florida, meanwhile, has completely escaped this winter nightmare. Miami is sitting pretty at 70 degrees, Orlando is at 68, and Tampa is a comfortable 65. You guys are doing just fine down there. The West Coast is also living in a different world. Seattle and Portland are getting a much-needed 2 to 4 inches of rain, which is great news for their water supply. California is just vibing right now. San Francisco is 60, Los Angeles is 65, and Phoenix is a warm 68. Even Denver is relatively mild at 45 degrees. It is a huge contrast to the frozen tundra in the east. But wait, this is where it gets crazy. Starting Monday, February 9th, the entire weather pattern is going to flip upside down. That high-pressure system out west is finally moving east, like a dam breaking and letting a massive flood of warm air rush through the area. We are looking at temperature anomalies in Nebraska, Iowa, and Kansas that could be 40 degrees above normal by Monday. I'll say that again, 40 degrees above normal. We are talking record-breaking highs for Des Moines, Omaha, and Lincoln. They are headed for the middle and upper 60s. Further south in Oklahoma and North Texas, the 70s and even 80s are not out of the question. You are going from negative 30 wind chills to the 70s in less than a single week total. That is a 90-degree swing in how it feels outside. It is absolutely wild. But there is a catch. That warmth is going to hit a wall before it reaches the East Coast. On Monday, while Omaha is basking in the 60s, the Northeast will still be shivering with wind chills below zero. It is the same country but 2 completely different seasons happening at the same time. By Wednesday and Thursday, that warmth finally starts to bleed eastward, giving the Mid-Atlantic some very much-needed relief. I'm also tracking an active storm track for next week that looks quite interesting. Both the major models are flagging a system for Thursday the 12th and Friday the 13th. It looks like a horizontal slider moving from the Midwest toward the East Coast. We could see snow and ice on the cold side, while the warm side could see thunderstorms and severe weather stretching from Texas up through the Tennessee Valley. We might see 60-mile-per-hour winds and some quarter-sized hail there. There is also a feature trying to develop right behind that system along the East Coast. We could be looking at a potential nor'easter less than 10 days out. It is still a bit far off to confirm the details, but it is definitely on my radar. Looking at the very end of February, winter shows no signs of surrendering. Cold air is expected to funnel back into the northern U.S. with cross-polar flow. Winter storms will likely remain a major feature for the Midwest and Northeast through early March. Even the groundhog predicted 6 more weeks of winter, and looking at these models, he might be right. Real talk. Check on your neighbors and your pets. Frostbite can set in 15 minutes when it is this cold. Let your faucets drip so your pipes don't burst. I'll be watching the overnight model runs very closely, and if anything shifts, I'll have an update for you first thing tomorrow morning. Stay warm and stay safe out there, because this February is going to be one wild ride indeed.